Oh, here we go, yeah. Lavender's green, a blue lily, lavender's green, dilly human something, and the things will be queen. A penny for the thoughts, a penny for your thoughts, my dear, and your love, yeah. I owe you for your love. Time to get pissed, I think.
What is the weirdest thing that happened to you this year?
The weirdest thing that happened to me this year. So I've been back to the UK 3 times this year. And on one occasion, it was for a very good friend of mine. He's a medical researcher in Oxford. He was having his 40th birthday party,
Hmm.
but he had it at his house. And I think it was the best party I've ever been to.
In your whole life?
In my whole life, it was the most fun I've had. Just like a great crowd of people. Might have been some NDMA involved. But the weirdest thing that happened there is I was chatting to this couple. It was this Brazilian woman, maybe in her 40s, and a guy, maybe sort of pushing 60, having a friendly chat. The MDMA is kicking in, pupils are dilating. And then we get on to how
Hmm.
they met. And they said, well, it was when Mark was on tour in Brazil. And I was at the concert. And one thing led to another, blah, blah. And then they told the story. And I thought, touring in Brazil, like, it's possible he's part of a small time band touring in Brazil, but you'd have to be.
You'd think they'd be fairly big.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's not Brazilian, right?
No, he's not Brazilian,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So then,
Definitely. He's
yeah.
from the Oxford area, yeah. So I'm like, what's the band? And he goes, Marillion.
What?
Yeah. And it turns out this is Mark Kelly, the keyboardist from Marillion. I've just been chatting to the last half
Without
hour.
any idea.
Such like a weird lame to fame, you know. I
Yeah.
met the keyboardist from Marillion at his birthday party. Anyway, we chatted for a while longer. And by chatted, I think as the drugs are kicking in, it's me talking about how great Radiohead are.
The band Marillion wish they were.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The thing is, I couldn't think of a single Marillion song.
Right.
So the running gag we had the whole evening was that you'd be having this pleasant chat, you're sort of chuckling at the last joke in the conversation, and then he turns to you, stern face, and goes, "Name one song." Ah, ah. Anyway, as a result of that conversation, it transpired that they weren't going to be playing in Sweden because they're still touring, but they are going to Norway. I said, "Oh, that's cool. They're playing in Oslo." And he was like, "I could get you on the guest list if you like." I was like, "Well, I'm not a big Marillion fan, but
I could be.
yeah, I could be." Yeah.
Absolutely. Is there any sweeter words than I could get you on the guest list?
Yeah. I mean, independently of that, myself and the same circle of friends had been talking about going to Oslo to go hiking
Mm.
around there because we've been planning a sort of buddies hiking trip. So now I think the plan is to go to Oslo together, some of us at least, do the hiking, go see Marillion.
Mhm.
And then the other thing is that the day after the Marillion concert, there's a Susanna Sundfør concert, which is a wonderful singer, for those who don't know her. So the plan, I think, is to go to both of those.
Mm.
And then there's a third part to it, which is that this circle of friends, most of us got to know each other in sixth form, right?
Mm.
So after high school. And there was another member of this circle of friends, a Norwegian guy called Tommy Johansen. And after sixth form, he's just disappeared. I mean, he vanished from our lives, and it was never clear what exactly had happened to him.
Right.
So then we thought, well, wouldn't it be great while we're seeing Marillion and Susanna Sundfør hiking in Oslo, if we could track down Tommy Hansen? Because I had reason to believe he was back in Norway and he was from Oslo. Anyway, so I tracked him down. And so the plan now is to reunite with Tommy Johansen in Oslo, see Marillion, see Susanna Sundfør. So yeah.
That's great.
So, but the weirdest thing was definitely meeting Mark Kelly from Marillion. Yeah.
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 Coney Island is actually in the city of New York, but nobody who's been
Right,
to Coney
where
Island.
is that sweet, sweet beer? Have a look here, and there we go. Just grab that there.
What are you doing?
Nothing. The boiler made a funny sound, and I was just checking
We
to
don't
see.
have a boiler.
Right, of course, dear. Well,
Could you
I.
not have been sneaking beers in again? Have you dragged reindeer shitting on your boots again?
No, I double-checked my... Oh, for fuck's sake. That bloody Rudolph. I'll clean it. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the stuff.
How about you? Besides screaming at the rich and famous in your TV production.
Stop making yourself such an easy bloody target. Exactly.
There was like a comic aspect, when you had to express shock when he fires you.
Yeah.
There was like a comic aspect to it that I could tell you couldn't suppress. Sort of like a, it's like you can't take the comedian out the actor.
Exactly. So the weirdest part is we're in New York for the wedding, and Caitlin lost a ring, like a really important ring, because she was like maid of honor type thing, very involved in everything, very busy, and we'd landed jet lagged and had to go straight into doing stuff mode, right? So it was all a bit, you're a bit punch drunk kind of thing, and in the melee, she'd sort of lost this ring, which was grandmother's and mother's. So I was like, but also it has to do all the wedding stuff. So there'd be a bit where it'd be like, oh God, the ring. And then it'd be like, okay, the next thing has to happen. And you'd have to just sort of get into the next thing. And it was a great wedding, so it wasn't that hard to do. But at the end of it, the next day, it's like maybe the ring got lost in the packing up of stuff. And so why don't we go and help the bride and groom take the stuff from the hotel to their apartment? They were staying in a hotel. And people had given them a bunch of stuff, and they brought a bunch of like set books and ladders, and they had a very aesthetic type thing. And so we ended up helping them move back with all their stuff. Just look back on it, it's like, how are they going to do this without us? It was like it was a 4-person job. It was so much stuff. We took 3 cabs worth of stuff.
Yeah.
But then we got back to their place and took apart the couch and looked in the boxes and couldn't find it anywhere. Again, it's one of those things that after a while you're like, well, we have to give up and do whatever's next, because we can't just spend our life constantly looking for something that's not turning up.
Were they made aware of the fact that they didn't have...
Yeah, and they were helping.
Right, okay.
But then he had to go and she was there. And
it wasn't like a farce where you're covering up the thing while looking for it. Like, what are you doing looking through this stuff? Oh, nothing, just dropped my wallet. And
Oh, yeah. G-Shock energy. It wasn't... Yeah, no, so eventually we sort of gave up, went onto their balcony, had some cocktails, watching the sun get a bit lower, and it's like, oh, well, I guess we better go. What should we do now? And someone brought up Coney Island. We were in kind of deepest, darkest Brooklyn. Coney Island is right there.
Yeah.
Theme park on the edge of New York at the base of the Bronx. So it's
sort of like the Blackpool of New York.
Yeah, exactly. Some sort of rickety roller coasters, and it was like, yeah, you know what, actually, that might be the thing to cheer us up. When was the last time we've been? Years ago. And when are we going to go again? And it's all of that stuff. America's so big, it takes ages. We're almost there. Do it.
Yeah.
The thing is, we had our suitcases, because we'd been staying in a hotel as well. And then after this, the plan had been to go back to her dad's with all our stuff.
Yeah.
We had 2 suitcases. And we're like, well, there'll be lockers there. And so we start making the journey. It takes about an hour. There's train and metro and stuff. It's like, it's close, but it's New York close, which is fucking far away.
Yeah.
And as we're on the way there, the weather is getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Like a storm's kind of coming in. And we haven't been able to find a locker thing on the internet. By the time we get there, it's like, we're being buffeted by the weather. We're holding these big suitcases. And Caitlin's like, can we go home straight away? I was like, we're not going home. Listen, I will take both suitcases. I will not complain once. We will rescue this day.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it's already been quite bad. The ring is, value, sentimental and monetary.
Yeah.
Double whammy. And so we're sort of manfully trying to batter against the wind with these 2 big fucking suitcases. We get to Coney Island, but it's Columbus Day. So half the fucking park is closed. It's like, it's desolate. It's just like there are a few people milling around. Every now and again, a ride will go, but a lot of them aren't.
Yeah.
And it's getting dark.
Yeah. Like Bogner on a Wednesday or something.
Yeah. We're like, oh, there's the lockers. And we get there, and the lockers are big enough to put like a wallet in. They're just these tiny, slim things, and it's like $25 an hour for the
Yeah.
privilege of using this piece of shit locker. They're like, oh, this won't do. So we can't do this. There's a hotel about half an hour walk away. And Kayla's like, let's do that. I'm like, that's an hour round trip that we'll have to make twice just to see if they'll take our bags. We
Yeah.
can't do that. Like I said, I'll take these bags. Don't worry. It's like, there's an aquarium. We'll go to the aquarium. Every new plan we came up with was foiled. Like the aquarium was closed. You know, the hotel's too far away.
Yeah.
The hot dog place was closed. That's half the reason you go there, for the Nathan's hot dog.
Yeah.
But then we found one of the rides that was open. And so we're on this ride, and it's like just us on this ride.
Teacups.
And our suitcases are like down there.
Yeah.
We've left with this team. We're kind of like looking at the suitcases going, "Hey, this is fun, isn't it?" It was so bizarre.
I was imagining you get there and you're like, this will be fine as long as they let us take the suitcases on the ride. No suitcases, buddy. No.
Yeah, it would be the guy with like the monorail voice, the Simpsons voice.
There's a special sign that says no suitcases. It seems very specific. We knew you were coming.
But managed to kind of rescue the day. You know, got a photo of us on the roller coaster, bought a hat. Guess how much this fucking baseball cap was?
Oh, I don't know, like $40 or something.
$54
Fucking
for.
hell, yeah.
And I was like, look, I'll buy it. It was again my attempt to make the day like good. I was like, how much? Yeah, it's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to lose my shit. Found the hot dog place that was open, and it was like, I think we've done.
Nabens hot dogs.
Famous Nabens.
This isn't a hot dog. It's just coleslaw in a bap.
There's a sign. No actual hot dogs
Yeah.
here.
Also, no suitcases.
Yeah. It felt like not being in the real world for a while.
Right.
Know? I suppose a bit Kafkaesque in a way that you're like, how long could I live always carrying around these two suitcases and trying to be jolly? How long could I last?
Yeah. Turns out the answer is like 6 hours. With extreme effort and concentration. Yeah. Awful.
Yeah, you know, got the hat, got the photo, got
the ring was never recovered.
The ring was never recovered, no.
The way that story should have ended is that as you opened the tiny excuse for a locker, there was the ring.
Oh, yeah. That would be amazing.
Although really cryptic.
Really difficult to understand.
Yeah. Also possible.
That's the stuff. Oh my God, what the fuck am I doing with my life?
Should we have a look at this quiz of the year thing?
Go on then.
I think it's been a very strange. What's your favorite news story of the year?
They've all been awful, haven't they?
Well, it has, yeah. So I'm wondering if this New York Times quiz is going to be light-hearted or brutal. Should we see? So here we go. Billions of people, roughly half the world's population, cast ballots in elections in 2024. Which of the following was not an outcome of one of these elections? Modi wins a third term, Mexico elects Scheinbaum, and Putin was defeated.
Obviously the last one.
Oh, if it's going to be this easy. God.
Maybe they're easing us in.
Okay. That's a lot. That's interesting, though. Half the world voting in 2024. Claudia Sheinbaum, the first Jewish person, first woman to be elected president of Mexico.
You might get to play her in a forthcoming biopic.
Do you want to read this one? Let's see what it is.
AI continued to advance at breakneck speed. Which of the following was not a new development covered by the New York Times this year? An AI agent demonstrated unmatched skill and speed in devising 15-day weather forecasts. An AI chatbot defeated doctors at diagnosing illness. An AI robot delivered a university graduation speech. An AI virtual assistant wrote a best-selling novel.
They're all fairly plausible.
I reckon the last one.
You don't think AI can write a best-selling novel?
It could write a best-selling novel insofar as what people buy does not correlate necessarily with quality of work.
Yeah.
I actually don't think AI is in a position yet to write a coherent, interesting.
You think it would still kind of be by the numbers because it can't come up with original content in the same way.
It would either be by the numbers or it would be original in a way that's very alien, like when they got the artificial intelligence to beat the Go champion.
Yeah.
And it was doing moves that the human just couldn't even make sense of until
Yeah.
they saw how it was going to win. And it was like, oh, wow. But no human being would have. So in that sense, I think AI could and will end up producing artworks, at least in inverted commas, that are formally really incredible and original. I think that's inevitable, but I don't think we're quite there yet.
Not there. Okay, let's go for best-selling novel. Yeah.
There we go.
Look
I
at
mean, this is the
that.
thing, this sort of worry about plagiarism in university.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is, when you get a student that just relies on the AI, like it's just drivel.
Yeah.
All organized, it's all written at a very sort of general level of description. It's not fine-grained.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Yeah. Yeah, it's like when the metrics are just like ins and outs, it makes more sense,
Yeah.
doesn't it? A mother was convicted on 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, one for each student her son killed in Michigan's deadliest school shooting. Why did this verdict on February 6th make national headlines? So we got either it was a mistrial, a breakdown in protocol,
Mm.
or the most high-profile example of prosecutors seeking to hold parents responsible for violent crimes committed by their children. I'm tempted to say the middle one there.
There was a school shooting or attack that was more like the first thing, though, right? But I thought that was more than a year ago. The police just stood around for a while because they weren't.
Yeah, I think that was the Texas one. Maybe Uvalde. I think that was longer than a year ago, but not this
Yeah.
year.
It's got to be the second one.
Yeah.
Look at that. Let's stop there. We're 3 for 3.
They've all been grim though. Should we see if one's a bit more fun? Gang violence in Haiti? No. Navalny.
Ugh. Navalny.
Okay, this is academia.
Sort of.
After 98 years, what change was made to the SAT in March? A new free option includes advertisements. Why are there adverts for a school test? The exam eliminated all multiple choice questions, or it became fully digital.
The last one.
It's got to be, hasn't it? Yeah. These are too easy.
I think we're just too good, Rob.
Oh, do you know this one?
Cicadas, no?
Looks like one for sure. Trillions of noisy red-eyed insects pictures above emerged from the tree after more than a decade of female tree. That's what they're called. Do you remember cicadas?
No. Oh, yeah. Well, there we go.
Yep.
I've held a cicada in Alabama. It did look like that.
Yeah. Do you know about lanternflies?
No.
Really interesting thing. In New York, they're an invasive species,
Hmm.
and they're very alluring to the eye. They've got this bright red color on these quite nicely shaped wings. And so the first time we saw them, we were like, oh, wow, I haven't seen these before. These are really pretty. And then, la-di-da, walk on with our route. And it's like, oh, look, there's another one. It's like, have you ever seen these before? No. And so we bring it up in conversation with Caitlin's friends or her family, and they're all like, kill them. You have to kill them. They're ruining entire ecosystems. They're too prolific. They destroy the local, everything like that. So it's like, now you're in a situation where you see it, you still have the impulse of like, oh, that's nice. And then the next impulse has to be destroy it. Weird.
Do you feel like your aesthetic appreciation of the insect is sort of cognitively penetrated by your knowledge of its invasiveness, like that it actually looks less beautiful?
It's a very good question. I'm not entirely sure. I think part of the reason you think it's beautiful, especially beautiful anyway, is that it's exotic. So you've not seen it in that environment.
Yeah.
You might see like a cabbage white butterfly and be like, oh, that's gorgeous, right? But you've you've also seen lots of those in the context.
Yeah.
You see this thing and you're like, wow, I haven't seen one of those before. So it's got that extra. I think once that starts to fade, then it will become what you said.
Yeah, like the invasiveness as such might count against its aesthetic appeal, but indirectly it counts for it because of the exotic thing. That's a really interesting case. I've often thought that a lot of the appeal of modern art post Duchamp, I guess, has to do with that exotic context thing, right? You take a found object and you put it in a museum space. And the mere act of doing that, it's like when you look at a car in a showroom, like to see a car indoors is something
Always.
it sort of reorients you in a way that gets you to behold it in a very different,
Yeah.
like it's no longer just a practical thing. It becomes sort of visually interesting.
Yeah, I saw one recently. It wasn't only indoors, it was like in like a big mall thing where inside and then in the middle of the mall there was a car showroom.
Yeah.
It was like that experience, but like to 10, because then I also was thinking, how the fuck would you drive this out?
Up the escalators. You do a two-wheel wheelie.
It's like they built them all around first we'll get the car in, then
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
box it off.
It's never getting out. You're gonna have to knock down the mall to drive this thing. I'm afraid someone has bought the car. I realize there's hundreds of shops here, but we're gonna have to knock them down.
Yeah, the context I think is like the first time you learn about like cats in Australia, because they're an invasive species, so they get hunted.
Uh-huh.
And it's just sort of like
Everything's an invasive species there, isn't it?
yeah, it's true.
There's like 3 species that are native to Australia. They're all versions of the kangaroo.
They've all got the same system. They're like, and of course the pouch system. Why?
Yeah.
An incredibly young, fragile, born thing will slither up into a pouch. That's probably the best way to do it.
It's a worm. How the fuck does it have a pouch? Well, that's just how they're made here.
Yeah. That's a strange name for it. I call it a gas wazzler.
Sorry. Oh, you call them a worm?
I've had some very good friends of mine who are Australian have moved back to Australia this year, and they're sending us sort of pictures of, their life there. And they've got this bird. It's quite, again, exotic, quite pretty looking animal, but it's completely standard to them, right? So again, this aesthetic thing comes up. They call it a bin chicken. That's a bin chicken because it gets in the trash and eats stuff, right? And it's a little bird, but it doesn't look like a chicken at all. It's like it's nice plumage, a bit long white beak, and you sort of think, oh, that's an appealing animal. I would never associate with a bin.
The raccoon of the birds. Bin chicken. Would be a nice way to describe KFC.
Yeah.
Could do with a new couch. If we had the money for one anyway.
Have you thought about, maybe not giving away billions of gifts for free every year?
Oh, fuck off, Rudolph. Don't tell me how to run my business. Aren't you supposed to be in the stable anyway?
Have I told you about my couch, by the way?
No, tell me about your couch.
So I'm in my office here, and when I arrived, new big shot philosopher. He's beaten off the competition in the job market. He's going to make some demands.
Absolutely. Were you doing the gun fingers to people as you came in? Yeah.
It got to the point where it was chronic. I sort of couldn't stop gun fingering, but had to take some medication. Yeah, but part of the setup was like, look, I need a couch for my office, and it needs to be long enough that I can take a nap.
Come on. We all know.
Do I have to make it explicit? It's got to be about 2 meters long-ish. Okay? The sort of couch you might rest a head cushion on, if you get my drift. Anyway, but it turns out that because my office is relatively small, like you don't have total carte blanche with the dimensions. So there was nothing that was gonna be small enough to fit, but be long enough to house my sleeping body. And so we have an official supplier. I kept asking them to send the couches through. Like this, so they send me 4 recommendations. I've been like, none of these is going to work. It's in the next lot. And then like the third lot came through. And I was like, what's this one? Bed, sofa.
Oh,
It turns out it's a sofa bed.
yeah.
And then so I went to my boss. I was like, look, it's like 2.5 grand or something, but can I get the sofa bed? I've measured the office. I could fold the sofa bed out. And she's like, you want me to pay you to sleep in your office? And I said, yes.
Yes.
She went, okay. So I've got this gorgeous sort of racing green-ish forest green sofa bed, and I will pull the blinds down, pull out my sofa bed, and take a nap
Oh my
if the
God.
need calls,
This is brilliant.
But the reason I was bringing this up, I mean, that's sort of fun by itself. But I was giving a talk in Geneva,
Hmm.
lots of polite, small talk, talking about the philosophy, all the rest of it. And then there comes a point where I can tell we've been teetering up to this topic, and someone sort of comes up to me in the conversation, and is like, "So tell me about this. Tell me about this sofa." I was like, "What? What sofa?" Like, the, the sofa in your office. Hello. Hello. Sorry, you're having a stroke. Yes, but I want to know about the sofa.
That's why I need to lie down.
We brought it with you because I heard it folds out into a bed. Anyway, sorry, victims of stroke.
Yes, apologies.
Except Gary, you know who you are.
You know,
You
Gary.
deserved it. So it turns out that in this small subsection of the area of philosophy I work in,
Mm.
there's rumor going around about me getting a sofa in my office, which was so mystifying because I couldn't figure out how they would have found out about it.
Yeah, who leaked?
Who's the leak? And B, why it would be of any interest. But it
Ah,
turned out that
ah,
this sofa had become a symbol for a perceived decadence in the Uppsala philosophy department's spending habits.
clearly,
Yeah, yeah.
clearly.
And the amazing thing was they didn't even know it was a sofa bed. They just thought it was a sofa.
They just thought it was a sofa.
Yeah.
Well, so when you told the truth, they're like, it goes even deeper
Yeah, I
than
know,
we.
yeah. I blew some minds. They're like, what, it like folds out? Oh, I was like, yeah, it's like a double bed. They're like, oh, that's ridiculous.
I heard they bought in pajamas too.
They did.
You wear a sort of Dickens bed
That's
cap
right,
as
yeah.
well.
Little candle with one of those really long lighters. Good night, all. It's 10 a.m. Nils. Well, you've got a sofa bed.
Is it comfier than your actual bed?
It's not comfy than my actual bed, but it is
That would be
plenty.
terrible.
It was plenty comfy. But before it arrived, I had been just sleeping on the floor. I would take my winter coat as a pillow and just lie on the hard floor. So, that's by way of saying A, I suffered, and B, it doesn't have to be that comfortable to serve its purpose.
Right. Now you're living the dream, though,
No,
dude.
I'm living a dream. It's beautiful, yeah. It's funny, my colleague Nick, he always knows whenever he walks past my office and the blinds are drawn.
Yeah. Nils is in bed.
Yeah, he's having a nap.
That's where he gets his best work done.
But the thing is, the reason actually I requested it is because I have this quite idiosyncratic occupational hazard, which is that obviously I have to read a lot,
Mm.
anywhere between 20 and 100 pages of pretty dense stuff daily.
And it does just tire the brain, doesn't it?
It tires the brain, but most people might get sort of mental fatigue. But for me, I would actually get sleepy from reading.
Yeah.
So it's like, A, I have to do this thing, but B, I can't because it makes me go to sleep.
Yeah.
So that's why I got it. And so then you take a power nap and you can carry on. But then recently I actually was like, you know what? Rather than going to bed at midnight or whatever, I'm just going to go to
Mm.
bed once the kids are in bed. So I can
Mm.
realistically, I might get 8 hours sleep. And
Mm.
since I've started doing that, it turns out I don't have an idiosyncratic thing with reading. It's just I was just really sleep deprived.
You were just tired
Yeah,
the whole
I was just
time.
really fucking tired for the last 8 years.
You don't even need the sofa bed.
Yeah, exactly. Don't, yeah, total fucking waste of money. Wait till I hear about that.
Just go to the head of department being like, thanks for the sofa bed. Turns out didn't need it. But wondering, do you have one of those L-shaped couches? That would be quite nice.
Might also need a TV and a Netflix subscription. It's sort of non-negotiable. Like, yeah.
And you just do the gun fingers at her. You know what I'm talking about.
You're not getting anything unless you do gun finger steer. There we go. Where do I sign?
Let's see here. 22 across. Dishonorable mixture of scam and misinformation peddled predominantly by right-wing commentators. 8 letters, 5 letters. Let's see. Dishonorable mixture of scam, misinf... Ah, got it. Ball, ox, grift. Ah.
What are the other rumors going around the aesthetic philosophy world? What's the rumor mill? The hot goss.
Hot goss. I don't know if there's any hot goss. I got fangirled the other day.
You did?
Yeah,
Oh,
although in absentia because there was the feminist reading group happening in which is the feminist reading group. Like there's one. The global feminist reading group was going. Yeah, the discussions are very difficult to manage. There's a couple of billion people participating. The feminist reading group at the University of Sheffield's philosophy department.
A martyr.
Yes, quite. And my colleague that I just mentioned, Nick Wiltshire, he also did a master's at Sheffield, and so we both participated in this reading group, and they had invited him back to present a sort of abbreviated version of this paper on the aesthetics of gender, basically. While they were meeting, a professor called Jenny Saul, who you may remember from
The
undergrad.
name does ring a bell,
Yeah.
actually.
So she taught the feminist third year philosophy course when we were there.
Which we took, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, right.
Did we both take that course? I
Yeah.
can't remember. Yeah. So she was, if you remember the lecturer for that course, that's Jenny Saul, yeah.
Mm.
And she was like making a cameo appearance at this reading group. And then, although she had heard that I was in Sweden, she hadn't sort of put two and two together and hadn't realized that Nick and I are in the same department. So she got very excited. I was in
Yeah, of course.
So I popped my head into Nick's office because it was all on Zoom. Say hi,
Yeah.
and sort of introduce myself. And according to Nick, apparently when I left, one of the PhD students who was also in this reading group was like, "Wait, was that the Nils Stear?" I got very excited. Which turns out that there is one person reading my work, Rob. So I thought that was very heartening.
Well, you were, as I showed you, you were the most viewed video of my channel this year. Your response to Konstantin kissing.
Constant kissing. Yeah, I feel like his career is leaps and bounds above mine in one respect.
Well, yes, but also heavy on the bollocks grift, though, isn't it? The eternal centrist nonsense that is actually always pretty right wing.
Yeah.
And if it's ever left wing, it's the left going, it's all our fault. God, so sick of those conversations.
Yeah.
Also, loads of them. Did you follow the Tenet Media story?
No.
In America, a bunch of media personalities were getting paid $400,000 a video by this company called Tenet Media to just pump out talking points, basically. And they were all just taking the money because it was so much.
Yeah.
And these channels weren't even getting many views or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it all got exposed, and there's some lawsuits involved, and they've all sort of been exposed as being like making millions a
But
year.
exposed for what? Because it's actually a money laundering scheme, or because is it illegal for someone to pay someone stupid amounts of money to just say stuff?
No, the illegality part is there's something about like the original people doing it are Canadian, and it's like, I think in the US, peddling interference from there runs into some kind of, but these people are very influential that they were paying, right, on the internet. They have millions of subscribers, right? Yeah. So it was exposed that they were being paid shed loads of money to say this by some shadowy organization that they just never questioned, even though it's like, since when do you get paid $4 million a year?
Was it straightforward quid pro quo? Because if you take a sort of structural view of media organizations in general, right? A lot of the people who end up with the most vocal positions, they're only there because, in addition to maybe having good journalistic chops, they're liable to say the things that are acceptable to the sorts of people running the newspaper or the big media organization or whatever, right? So was it a case of just that? Hey, these guys believe all the shit that is helpful to us, so let's give them lots of money. Or was it like, can you say this and we give you money?
Yeah, it was the latter.
Right.
A lot of these people are big on the internet, and they're doing the centrist grift that I was talking about before.
Yeah.
Open conversation. That's how we solve these things, all that
Yeah.
nonsense. So I'm just trying to get the legal thing. The US charged 2 Russian media executives in a $10 million scheme to illegally fund Tenet Media and influence it to promote Russian propaganda.
I see. No, this story passed me by.
Pretty wild. They came out and said they were the victims because they didn't know, and then just carried on the grift.
You didn't know what?
They didn't know there was the Russians. They thought because it was come through like the Canadian connection, they just thought it was. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't add up at all.
Well, it does add up in one respect, which is that their lack of critical thinking on political matters maps nicely onto their lack of critical thinking about where the money's coming from, right?
Right.
4 million, you say? That's no strings attached.
One of them, I think, Dave Rubin, who's particularly egregious. Apparently, they offered him 100 grand a video, and he was like, "I need to know where this money's coming from." And they were like, "How about 400 grand a video?" He was like, "You got it." And who cares where it's coming from? That's your price, buddy.
Just the joke you just did, it reminded me of this Woody Allen bit where he's being offered a vodka ad, and he's like, I'm an artist. I can't possibly take money I don't drink vodka. It would be disingenuous. Yeah. And they're like, it's $50,000. And he's like, let me just put Mr. Allen on the phone. Pretty funny for an ephebophile.
Exactly. Ephebophile it is.
Right, let's see what's going on at Twitter handle SantaBaby123. Let's see. What's this? If Santa's such a good guy, why doesn't he deliver more presents to the poor children? Oh my fucking... Can you believe this shit? Oh my god, it's got me some people on absolute fucking idiots on it. Here we go. This looks like a sensible chap. Father Christmas is definitely white. Well, I'll stop you right there, buddy, because I've got bad news for you. I'm from Anatolia, so I'm about as white as Jesus Christ. Okay, I'll see if there's anyone else here. Let's see. Elon Musk, Immanuel Kant, more Kant, blah, 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 Elon Musk. You know what? Bollocks to this. Time to see if the Easter Bunny's got hold of some weed.
It's been a fucking weird year, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like you've said that a couple of times now. I'm
thinking politically now.
I see, right.
I think almost every incumbent political administration was replaced this year. And the traditional political wisdom is that the incumbent has the advantage. It's just happening in Germany now, isn't it?
Yeah.
UK, US, Canada hasn't had one, but France, I think there's more as well. Mexico, there's more. It's been a complete rejection of whatever political reality was going on around the world, as we've been dealing with 2 horrific wars and more wars, but those are the 2 that are taking up the most media coverage.
Is there an incumbent advantage in the UK? I know this is received wisdom in the US.
Well, the Tories were in power for 14 years.
Yeah, but I mean, is the explanatory factor in the UK just that the Tories are the default party in power and you have these very occasional exceptions? New Labour is one, Harold Wilson is the other, and now Keir Starmer's the third. Simplifying somewhat, but...
I think that's part of it. Part of the incumbent advantage, as I understand it, is, listen, okay, things might not be great right now, but we've been doing the job. We know how to do the job. Those lot are just sitting there sniping at us. They don't actually know what it's like to run we'll right the ship, we'll replace a few people. It's a bit rocky, but we know what we're doing, kind of thing. And that had kind of been working. The 2019 election, Boris Johnson got the massive majority. The slogan was "Get Brexit done." It was like, I'm going to do it. I'll do it. Yeah. I think that was a big incumbent advantage.
Although that one's complicated, right? Because he was sort of like an interim de facto interim prime minister by the time
What?
the
Yeah,
election
he'd been
comes around,
exactly,
right?
but then he won.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He replaced
exactly.
Theresa
Yeah,
May, yeah. And so there was a sense in which he wasn't the incumbent because he was a rejection of the
yeah,
Theresa May fudging the Brexit. I wouldn't deny that there is an incumbent advantage. I'm just like, I guess I'm not convinced there's enough evidence in the UK
maybe not.
case because there's lots of like other potential
Yeah.
explanatory factors. But it seems part and parcel of the mood now that everyone's so
Mm,
dissatisfied with anything
mm.
political. Whenever you have an election, it's just going to be about booting out whatever lot happens to be holding the levers of power, sort of
Yeah,
regardless of who it is, unless it's one's favorite fascist,
yeah,
neo-fascist party or something. And if that's true, I wonder if that has to do with sort of politicization of absolutely fucking everything on
yeah,
social media and the amount of garbage
yeah.
it's
I
peddled
know
on there.
I can't do too long on it at a time. Dip your toe in, and it's like, oh God, everyone's fighting about every single point and turning it into some massive deal.
So I run the British Journal of Aesthetics Twitter account and their
Mm.
Blue Sky account. And it recently dawned on me, like we have more followers now on Blue Sky than Twitter. There's been a recent
Yes, yeah.
exodus. It was just like I could see it in the numbers. And so I wrote to the editor and I was like, can I just
Mm.
close the Twitter account? Because I
It's
hate being on there.
insane,
It's
isn't it?
just, I mean, I didn't even like it when it was sort of in the okay-ish period, sort of late
Right,
2010s.
same.
Yeah.
But now it's such a cesspit.
Yeah. And I feel like what has happened as well is that the clickbait merchants, they've refined
Mm.
their product now. So even when I'm explicitly thinking,
Mm.
I'm not interested in this, I'm like, how did I end up clicking and reading? So, they're pushing the buttons just right now. It's taken them about 11
Yeah,
years to really.
hone their
And,
craft.
yeah. And then on top of that is all the bile. So the thing I've done with the British Journal of Sex account now is I've made the logo over the last 3 weeks or so gradually turn blacker and blacker.
That's nice. I like the aesthetic touch. That's very apt.
Yeah. And the handle it ends now with like, not long for this work. Ran out of characters. And occasionally I will just post the lyrics from Radiohead's Reckoner, which
Uh,
is, sort of a very cryptic song, but ostensibly about facing
I'll
death.
take it with you.
Exactly. Can't take it with you. Yeah. And then December 31st.
The off switch.
Pull the cord, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If I had one recommendation for a contemporary person
Yeah.
in our society or a society sufficiently like it, it's just get off it.
Yeah.
Just garbage. For me, the big moment where I guess at some intellectual level, I knew it was probably garbage before this, but the moment when I really felt it was when Corbyn got absolutely smashed by Johnson in
Yeah.
2019. Because up until that happened, I had been under the illusion that Corbyn, he was less likely to win it, but he could.
He had a chance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and as soon as it went through, it was like, of course he's not going to win it because clearly the whole country is embarrassed
Yeah.
in front of the international stage about
Yeah.
Brexit not being brought to
Good.
full fruition, And what's Corbyn offering? Like, we'll have another referendum or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
as well as all the sort of other legitimate and illegitimate reasons why he was an unpopular
Yeah.
leader anyway. So that was the moment I shut my personal account. I just thought,
Mm.
you
No
read
good.
about these epistemic bubbles, but like I'm in an epistemic bubble. I'm surrounded by people saying things that I find plausible because they chime with what I would like to be the case, but
Mm.
it's just not how reality
Yeah.
works.
No. Thanks. It's been absolutely brilliant.
Always a pleasure.
Well, that's it from me for this year. Merry Christmas, everyone. Be good. Stay well. Stay safe. Don't get up to too much mischief. And here's a little party trick I use my magic for. Do 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 do